Once upon a time, there was a monkey.
If it was a man or a woman.
It was a male monkey.
What's his name?
His name was Perry.
Perry?
Uh huh.
Oh.
Perry. And he thought he was a lawyer. That's why his real name was Danny. But he said, "No, that's not my name." He said, "My new name is Perry," because he thought he was Perry Mason. he thought he thought that Perry Mason became a lawyer, but first he was a monkey. So, Mr. Perry, he walked around with a briefcase. And he tried to steal suits
Oh, shoot.
from department stores.
His size?
Yeah, he tried to, he was funny because he tried to sew the pants to fit him.
Mm.
He was a smart monkey,
Mm-hmm.
but he wanted to go and litigate at the courthouse. So he thought, I'll get me a suit and a briefcase and a hat and I'll walk in.
Mm.
Well, he had a rude awakening. Finally, one day when he got all his outfit together and he made it to the courthouse, he tried to sneak in, and two security guys said, "Hey!"
Mm-hmm.
And they stopped him.
Mm.
And then they looked at him and they said, they kind of scratched their head and said, "Is that a monkey in a suit?" So then Perry tried to talk, but he hadn't mastered the art of talking yet.
No.
No. So it came out.
Mm-hmm.
It came out.
Mm-hmm.
So then the two security guards, they freaked out because this had never happened. And they tried to arrest him. They tried to handcuff him.
Mm-hmm.
But Perry was way too strong for them.
Mm.
He just flipped them like they were like a couple of bananas.
Mm.
He flipped them and made them fly like 10 feet. And so then they called for backup. But then Perry, he said, "Oh no," because he knew he was in trouble.
Mm.
So he started climbing the building
Oh.
to try to get away.
Uh-uh.
Hmm. And then, as he was climbing, he noticed that his body started getting bigger. Every 5 floors that he climbed,
Mm-hmm.
his body was bigger and bigger and bigger. And then he couldn't believe. He looked at his body and he's like, "What?" He didn't know what to think.
Mm-hmm.
But his growl, his yell, the way he normally went, went to a roar.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, he turned into like a King Kong.
Mm.
I don't know what happened with the altitude, but it made him grow like Kong. So then, well, guess what? Kong happened to be in the neighborhood.
Uh-oh.
And he didn't want any competition.
No.
Mm-mm. Perry didn't get as big as Kong, but he saw him as a threat. And so Kong, he went all the way from, he was by the ocean,
Mm-hmm.
and he was trying to hang out at the beach.
Mm.
But then he saw Perry
Mm-hmm.
up on top of the Empire State Building. He said, "Oh, no way.
Mm-hmm.
That's my hangout."
Mm.
So he ran over there
Mm-hmm.
fast as he could, and then he started beating his chest. And Perry looked at him and said, "Uh-oh." So then Perry said, I'm good on this." Perry climbed down the Empire State Building.
Mm.
And as he was getting down the building, he was getting smaller back to his monkey size.
Uh-oh.
Hmm. But then he didn't have that suit no more, because when he got big like King Kong, the suit tore.
Yeah. Huh.
But he did find this briefcase. So he hobbled on back to his house
Mm-hmm.
and he went back to the drawing board.
Mm.
Meanwhile, one night when Perry was trying to make up plans to try to get into the courthouse again,
Oh, yeah?
he saw what looked like a huge eye looking at him. Lo and behold, it was Kong.
Mm.
And then Kong, he went, "Oh." And Perry said, "Uh-oh,
Uh-oh.
he found me." And then Kong, he went, "Roar." And the whole building, because Perry, he lived in an apartment complex.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's kind of like condos, but he lived on the fifth floor.
Okay.
And so like it seemed like the condominiums, they swayed back and forth when Kong growled.
Uh-oh.
So Perry said, "Uh-oh." Exactly. And he ran down. He went to the basement of the condominiums. And then down there was this young guy hanging out. He's doing laundry. And he took a liking to Perry. And he sat by Perry and he tried to talk to him, but Perry looked at him and kind of shook his head sideways, and like he didn't understand him.
Mm.
So then, well, lo and behold, the young man, he happened to be an ex-lawyer.
Oh.
And so he invited Perry to his apartment. He was on the third floor.
Okay.
And he gave Perry food. And he became like his best friend. And so the young man, he had like these magical powers.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. And he was able to understand animals.
Oh, really?
He was like Dr. Doolittle. But he was able to understand, and he was an empath, and he could feel like if they was going through something, or if they was hurting or something, you know. So then he figured out Perry's problem. He thought it was quite bizarre that Perry wanted to be a lawyer. So then this young man, he 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 said, you know what? He said, I'm gonna make this a reality for this monkey. And so he started grooming Perry and started teaching him the ropes. And he even got Perry to talk a little bit. Yeah. This guy, he had a way with people and animals. And he was able to get Perry to say a few sentences. And to walk upright and to kind of move around like a lawyer. And so he had pull with the law offices and with the courts. And so then
Here's your drink.
Perry was able to go to the courthouse and get in because this young man, his name was Simon. This young man had access to get into the courts and everything. He was the son of a judge. Plus, he was a lawyer, like one of the best, a real good lawyer. But so he got Perry into the courthouse, and Perry looked more normal. Perry was actually walking like a man, and so he went and they both sat in a few court cases, and then like I said, Simon had a lot of pull with the courts and the judges and everybody. So then he convinced a judge to let the monkey
The monkey.
Yeah, to let the monkey get in there and litigate a case.
What?
It was a small case, yeah, a case of a young kid named Alex who had pushed a girl in school.
What?
Yeah, she was in there for assault.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, she pushed a young girl in school, and the young girl cracked her head. So Perry the monkey, well, they went in there to tag team, so they went in there together, Simon and Perry. And so Perry was able to get in there and cross-examine the witnesses and gather paperwork and exhibits. He couldn't say a whole lot, but he was able to do that. Get the evidence and present it to the judge, and he could say a few sentences, and then Simon did the rest. But Perry was like really happy because that was his dream, to be a lawyer in a courthouse. And so he really thought, wow, this is a dream come true. And all of a sudden, he let out a monkey laugh. And the judge said, she hit she went, pa, pa, pa. She hit the gavel, and she said, order in the court, order in the court. And then she warned Simon, if that monkey has another outburst, I'm gonna hold you in contempt of court.
Okay.
And so Simon said, yes, Your Honor, yes, Your Honor, yes, Your Honor. And Perry, he had a couple of tears rolling down his eyes. Because he got reprimanded, and he knew that he needed to behave. So then the day went on, and Perry, he started getting sleepy, and he started sleeping in the courthouse, and while Simon was litigating the court case, and he started snoring. Order in the court! Order in the court! Simon, she said, she called out to Simon, I'm warning you. You better do something with that monkey. And Simon said, yes, Your Honor, yes, Your Honor, yes, Your Honor. And he went over and whispered in Perry's ear, Perry, you have to stay, you can't make these noises. Are you hungry? Do you need to go to the bathroom? And so then he asked the judge if they can have a court recess.
A lunch break?
Yeah, and so he took Perry out, and they went out to get lunch. And then all of a sudden, Kong spotted Perry. And Kong reached his big hand all the way down and scooped up Perry. And Simon started yelling, no! No! And Kong went, roar! And then Kong started running.
King Kong?
Yeah, with Perry in his hand. Then all of a sudden, Perry slipped out of Kong's hand and fell. Ah! Luckily, he fell into a tree. And he knew how to climb the tree. So then from there, Perry remembered, he thought, okay, Kong's been after me, and I need to do something about this, because he just interrupted me when I was in court, and I can't let this happen again. But he remembered that when he climbed the building, that every 5 floors that he climbed, that he got bigger and bigger and bigger, like King Kong. So he said, I'm just going to have to face Kong. So he started climbing up the Empire State Building. And he climbed and he climbed, and he got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Almost as big as Kong. And then Kong noticed Perry and said, his eyes went, huh? And he looked at Perry, and Kong started beating his chest. Pow, 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 pow. And then Perry beat his chest. Pow, 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 pow. And then Kong beat his chest again. Pow, 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 pow. He tried to do more beats. And then Perry went, pow, 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 pow. And so Kong looked at Perry, and he cracked a smile, because Perry was humorous, because Perry was playing a beat on his chest, and Kong said, And so Kong went over to his stash, and he grabbed a big, huge banana, and he threw it at Perry, and he, like he wanted to be his friend, because Perry was funny. And then Perry grabbed the banana and acted like he was using that like a phone. Ow, 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 ow. And Kong started laughing. And he started stomping his feet, and he broke a couple buildings with his feet. And Perry said, oh. So then Perry said, well, this is not really what I had in mind. I was going to try to drive Kong out of here. But I guess he wants to be my friend. So what do I do? So then Perry, he started joking and making little jokes, and he started luring Kong away from the city. And Kong started following, and Kong was laughing. Laughing. And Perry's like, he sounds like a man, you know? Because Kong was laughing like a man. And then all of a sudden, Simon caught up with Kong and Perry. And then, remember I told you that Simon had magical powers? So Simon, he spread his hands and he was able to shrink King Kong and Perry.
What?
Yeah.
Why did he shrink Perry?
He shrunk both of them because he wanted to, make sure that everything was under control and that didn't destroy the city and that Kong didn't hurt Perry. And so he shrunk them and they got smaller. They got as small as a little energy drink. They got that small. Yeah. And they was looking up at Simon and they was going and Simon couldn't help himself and he really started rolling on the floor laughing. Because he had shrunk King Kong and Perry. And they were both like as small as an energy drink. So anyhow, that was part one.
Part two.
So then, all of a sudden, whatever Perry or Simon did, it started wearing off. And all of a sudden, Kong started getting big again. And Perry, because Perry was on the floor, and Perry had climbed down the building. Remember I told you earlier that anytime that Perry came down from the building, he got smaller to normal size. So Perry was back to normal size. And then Kong said, well, that's my buddy right there. So he grabbed him, and he started running off with Perry. Meanwhile, Simon's like, what do I do? He's taking off with my buddy. And Kong said, "Goodbye." And stay tuned for tomorrow's episode. Kong and Perry. Goodbye.